I'm looking at Pluto and Aquarius and how it relates to the United States birth chart. Uranus was discovered in 1781, just a few months before the end of the conflict of the American Revolution and 8 years before the French Revolution. Nearly all of the early founders of the United States, as well as significant individuals who would later exert profound influence upon the country, were marked in some way by the sign of Aquarius. The Aquarian is one who, in prior lives, dedicated their energy to bringing others together into a united group and encouraging love and humanity between them. Because the peacemaker is to be honored above all others in spiritual terms, the Aquarian is allowed a special tap into a source of the highest idealism regarding humanity, both at a soul level and at a personality level. But this source of ideal humanity does represent a level of advancement far beyond the achievements of humanity today. Love is not universally felt for all. Indeed, the only circumstance in which most people even get a glimpse of love in its true majesty is that first overwhelming excitement of a love affair, before the cold reality shows itself. But the Aquarian does know instinctively that the universal, non-exclusive love is possible, and this often introduces a problem in relating to others at the level in which humanity has reached. The placement of the moon in a birth chart can indicate the relative influence of that childhood or early life in this current life. The moon in the United States birth chart is in Aquarius. The energy of this sign was the main influence during the birth and early life of the country. The moon in Aquarius does have positive aspects, and the more positive aspects of encouragement, of individuality, and independent thinking will be found. The declarations and energies instrumental in the founding of the United States involved an encouragement of individuality and independent thinking. This Aquarian energy was embodied in many of our founding fathers. George Washington was a Pisces, yet born only 2 days after the month of Aquarius, and Aquarius was also the sign in which his Mercury was placed, which represents the mental, thinking, and communicating aspect of his personality. George Washington also had an Aquarian midheaven, the sign that was directly overhead when he was born. That represents how he would have presented himself to and interacted with the world. Thomas Jefferson was an Aries, but his ascendant or self-image was Aquarius. Benjamin Franklin was a Capricorn, but in the sign Aquarius he had Mercury, which represented his mental thinking qualities. The Polish revolutionary Thaddeus Kosciuszko, who taught in the American and Polish revolutionary efforts, was an Aquarius as well. He also had the sign Aquarius ruling Venus and Uranus. He had a desire for universal brotherhood, which was expressed in his will, where he left instructions to sell his property and use the proceeds to purchase the freedom of slaves. Perhaps the most significant and underrated Aquarian individual in the founding of our country was the inspired revolutionary writer Thomas Paine. He was born with his sun in Aquarius. He also had Mercury and Jupiter conjunct Aquarius as well. And when you have Jupiter in Aquarius, this points to the ability to bring together conflicting groups, to forge closer ties between people, and to promote universal goodwill and love. The expression of this ability is the highest calling of the person with Jupiter in Aquarius. And one could say that Thomas Paine was the most Aquarian of all the founding fathers. Having his Jupiter conjunct as Mercury would lead him to express those Aquarian ideals through writing, speaking, and communicating. With Jupiter trine Neptune, this Aquarian energy is infused with spiritual faith and surrender. His Jupiter also trines Pluto, which proves the ability to use this Aquarian idealism and communication as a means of profound transformation. The involvement of Thomas Paine in the revolutionary birth of our country sheds light upon the strong influence he brought to bear in the founding of our country. From the book America's Invisible Guidance by Corinne Helene, she states in the early 1770s, Paine was arrested in London for stating that monarchy should be ended and all people be made free and equal. Benjamin Franklin was in London at that time and helped Paine move to Britain's North American colonies. Once relocated, Paine began writing articles using war and peace settlements by international arbitration and advocating international copyright laws. He also declared that women should not be bound by permanent contracts like marriage. He also denounced cruelty to animals and asserted that monarchies and hereditary titles were things of the past.